Welcome back to the channel. Rarest Coins. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of a coin you probably have in your pocket, your junk drawer, or even buried at the bottom of your couch cushions. We're talking about the 1965 Washington quarter. It might seem like just another everyday coin, but there's a version of this coin out there that's reportedly worth a staggering $1.9 million. Yes, that's right. $1.90 could get you almost nothing today. But this 25-cent piece from 1965 might be worth nearly $2 million if you've got the right one. So how is that even possible? What makes this coin so special? And how can you tell if you have one? Let's break it all down. Let's start with a little history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It quickly became the standard quarter and has remained a key part of American currency ever since. The early Washington quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But that all changed in 1965 during the early 1960s. The United States experienced a coin shortage, especially in silver coins. Rising silver prices meant that people were hoarding coins for their melt value. The U.S. Mint knew it had to make a major change. So in 1965, they stopped using silver in quarters altogether and began producing them using a clad composition. That means a copper core sandwiched between two outer layers of a copper-nickel alloy. From then on, quarters were no longer made of precious metal, but instead of common materials. Here's the twist. The U.S. Mint had already struck many 1964 silver quarters. But in 1965, during the transition, there were some errors. A very small number of 1,965 quarters were mistakenly struck on the leftover silver planchets that were meant for 1964 coins. That means a few 1965 quarters were minted in 90% silver when they were supposed to be copper-nickel. These rare transitional error coins are incredibly valuable today. Now, let's talk about the star of the show. There is one 1965 Washington quarter that collectors believe is the ultimate error coin. It was struck on a silver planchet, preserved in near-perfect condition, and discovered by an experienced collector. This single coin, with almost flawless details and a clear silver composition, reportedly sold in a private sale for an unbelievable $1.9 million. That's right. A coin worth 25 cents at face value changed hands for almost $2 million. What made this particular coin so special? First, the composition. While most 1965 quarters are made from the new clad copper-nickel material, this one was made using a silver planchet left over from 1964. That makes it a rare, transitional error. Only a tiny number of these silver 1965 quarters are known to exist, and they're incredibly hard to find. Second, the condition. This coin was in almost perfect shape, likely never circulated, with all of its original mint luster. In coin grading terms, it was considered mint state, possibly MS67 or higher. When rarity meets high condition, prices explode. Third, provenance. The story behind a coin can add value too. If a coin has been authenticated, studied, and talked about in numismatic circles for years, that history adds to its mystique and value. This particular coin had been confirmed by experts and even featured in publications and private collections before it was eventually sold. Now you're probably wondering, how can you tell if you have one of these valuable 1965 quarters? First, look at the edge of the coin. A regular 1965 quarter made of copper-nickel will have a visible copper stripe along the edge. If you don't see any copper and the edge looks completely silver, you might be looking at a silver planchet error. Next, weigh the coin. A standard clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, but a 90% silver quarter weighs about 6.25 grams. That difference might seem small, but it's enough to help identify a possible silver strike. You'll need a precise digital scale to measure accurately. Then, consider getting it tested or graded. If you suspect you have a silver 1965 quarter, don't clean it or try to alter it in any way. Submit it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll verify the coin's metal content, grade its condition, and confirm if it's a genuine mint error. If it is, you might be holding on to something worth thousands or even millions of dollars. Now, let's talk about what the average 1965 quarter is worth. Most 1965 quarters in circulated condition are worth exactly 25 cents. That's because billions of them were made, and they contain no silver. However, If you find one in uncirculated condition, especially with a high grade like MS65 or above, it could be worth $5 to $20 or more. The real money is in rare mint errors, especially silver planchet strikes. Even if your 1965 quarter isn't worth millions, it still tells a story. It's part of a turning point in U.S. coinage history, the end of the silver era. That alone makes it an interesting piece for any collector. So here's your takeaway. Check your coins. That old change lying around your house might be more valuable than you think. Look closely at any 1965 quarters. Check the edges, weigh them, inspect the details. And if something seems off, it might just be your lucky day. You never know when you could stumble across one of the rarest and most valuable coins in American history. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel for more rare coin discoveries, and drop a comment below telling us if you've ever found a valuable coin in your pocket change. Until next time, keep collecting, keep searching, and good luck, because you just might be one coin away from a fortune. Let me know if you'd like help turning this into a video outline, a YouTube description, or even creating a thumbnail or title ideas to boost engagement. Welcome back to the channel. If you're into coin collecting, rare finds, or even just curious about the change in your pocket, you're in the right place. Because today, we're talking about a very specific coin that most people completely overlook. The 1967 Washington Quarter, rarest coins. Now, imagine finding a coin worth just 25 cents, but learning that one special version of it is valued at an unbelievable $1.8 million. That's not a typo. That's $1,800,000 for a single quarter. Sounds crazy, right? But there's a reason behind the madness. And today we're going to break it all down for you. That will cover the history of the 1967 quarter, why it's so important in the world of coin collecting, how it could possibly be worth over $1 million, and how to tell if you've got one of these valuable coins hiding in your house. Let's get started. The Washington Quarter has been around since 1932. It was introduced to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington and quickly became the standard quarter for the United States. For over 3 decades, these quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, but everything changed in the mid-1960s. By that time, silver prices were climbing, and people began hoarding silver coins for their melt value. The government responded by changing the composition of coins. In 1965, the U.S. Mint officially ended the use of silver in quarters and switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. That means a solid copper core sandwiched between 2 layers of copper-nickel. What does that have to do with the 1967 quarter? Well, 1967 was right in the middle of that transition. It was a period of experimentation and adjustment at the U.S. Mint. They were dealing with a new metal formula, updated equipment, and new coin dies. And as always during periods of change, a few mistakes slipped through. Some of those mistakes turned into rare and highly valuable mint errors. During 1965 to 1967, the U.S. Mint also suspended the use of mint marks. That means you won't see a P, D, or S on any quarter from those years. They did this to discourage coin hoarding by making it harder for collectors to distinguish between coins from different mints. Now let's talk about why the 1967 quarter can be so valuable. First off, most 1967 quarters are common. The Mint produced over 1.5 billion of them. Yes, billion with a B. So finding one in your change is not unusual. Most are only worth face value unless they are in extremely high-grade condition or have a rare error. But here's where it gets exciting. There have been confirmed reports of 1967 quarters with serious minting errors. These include off-center strikes, double die obverse errors, and even the rare possibility of a few being struck on leftover silver planchets from previous years. That's right. While the U.S. Mint had stopped producing silver quarters, some planchets from earlier years may have accidentally remained in the system and been used to strike 1967 coins. These rare silver-struck 1967 quarters are incredibly difficult to find, but when one shows up, it becomes the centerpiece of any coin collection. And this leads us to the most famous example, the legendary 1967 quarter that reportedly sold for a mind-blowing $1.8 million in a private sale. This coin was a perfect storm of numismatic perfection. First, it was a rare transitional error, struck on a silver planchet instead of the normal clad copper-nickel composition. That alone makes it one in many millions. Second, it was found in near-perfect condition, likely never circulated, with no signs of wear and flawless mint luster. Third, it was authenticated and graded at the highest levels by a leading coin grading company. And finally, it was sold privately between two major collectors who both understood the rarity and historical value of what they were dealing with. While most of us will never hold a $1.8 million coin in our hands, the good news is that valuable 1,967 quarters do exist, and they could be hiding in plain sight. So how do you know if your 1967 quarter is worth money? Start by checking its weight. A regular clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. A silver quarter weighs around 6.25 grams. You'll need a precise digital scale to check this. If your coin weighs closer to 6.25 grams, that's a red flag that it might have been struck on a silver planchet. Next, check the edge of the coin. A normal 1967 quarter will show a copper-colored stripe on the edge, since it has a copper core. If your coin's edge is solid silver with no copper visible, you may have something special. Then, look closely at the details of the coin. Any doubling of letters or numbers, off-center strikes, or other unusual characteristics could indicate a mint error. Even small variations can add significant value. And finally, if you think your coin might be special, get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies specialize in verifying coins, grading their condition, and documenting their authenticity. A certified coin will always be worth more than one that hasn't been graded, especially if it's a rare error or in mint state. So let's talk value. A typical 1967 quarter in circulated condition is worth exactly 25 cents. If it's in mint condition, it could be worth a few dollars to collectors. High-grade mint state examples might fetch anywhere from $10 to $100, depending on how perfect the coin is. Mint errors can dramatically increase that value. A known double die error or off-center strike could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And if you're lucky enough to discover a silver-struck 1967 quarter in mint state condition, you could be looking at a six- or even seven-figure coin, depending on its rarity and demand. To wrap it all up, the 1967 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how an everyday coin can become a collector's dream. While most are common and worth very little, a select few, thanks to historical quirks, minting errors, and preservation, have become legends in the world of numismatics. One such coin reportedly reached a value of $1.8 million, and that shows the incredible potential that even pocket change can hold. So check your coins. Dig through your jars, your drawers, your old piggy banks. You never know when you might stumble across a hidden treasure that could change your life. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more content about rare and valuable coins, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell for notifications. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin or want to know more about coin hunting. Until next time, good luck, happy collecting, and keep checking that change. The next $1 million coin could be sitting right in your hand. End of script. Would you like a matching video description, thumbnail text, or a short hook for your intro to make this video go viral? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've ever wondered whether the change in your pocket might be worth a fortune, today's video is going to blow your mind. We're talking about a coin that millions of people have handled without a second thought, the 1982 D Washington quarter. It's a coin you might see every day, but what if I told you that one rare version of this quarter is reportedly worth up to $1.5 million? Yes, you heard that right. $1.5 million for a 25-cent coin. In this video, we're going to explore the full history of the 1982 D quarter, explain why this coin is so unique, show you how to spot one that might be valuable, and dive into the unbelievable story of the $1 million example. Let's start at the beginning. The Washington quarter has been a fixture of American currency since 1932, originally minted to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design has become iconic, featuring Washington's profile on the front and an eagle with outstretched wings on the back. For decades, this design remained virtually unchanged and was struck by the billions. But the early 1980s were a strange and difficult time for coin collectors. In 1982 and 1983, the U.S. Mint made a decision that had a huge impact on coin history. They stopped producing traditional uncirculated mint sets. For collectors, This meant that the only way to get high-quality coins from those years was to pull them directly from circulation. And as you can imagine, most coins that enter circulation get beat up fast. Scratches, wear, dings, discoloration, all of it lowers the coin's value. That's what makes the 1982 D quarter so special. The D stands for the Denver Mint, where this coin was produced. Over 480 million of these quarters were struck in Denver in 1982, which means the coin itself is not rare. But here's the key. Finding a 1982 D quarter in perfect, uncirculated condition is extremely rare. Combine that with a known mint error, and you suddenly have a coin that could be worth thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even, in one case, $1.5 million. So what happened? There's a very specific reason why the 1982 D quarter became one of the most sought-after coins from that era. During this period, the mint was also adjusting how they made coins. Some coins from 1982, including quarters, were struck with inconsistent detail due to worn dies and lower-quality planchets. On top of that, there's a variety of known errors and die varieties, including weak strikes, doubling, and in rare cases, coins struck on planchets meant for other denominations or even foreign coins. One of the most famous varieties is the 1982 D quarter with a missing mint mark, or one struck on an experimental or transitional planchet, possibly even struck using the wrong metal. These are considered mint errors, and when found in pristine condition, they command serious attention from collectors. But the holy grail of them all was a near-perfect 1982 D quarter discovered by a private collector. This coin was authenticated by professional grading services and found to have not only a rare composition error, but also an incredibly high grade. In fact, it was one of the finest known examples ever recorded. When this coin changed hands in a private sale, it reportedly fetched up to $1.5 million. Now, let's talk about what to look for. First, check the mint mark. A 1982 D quarter will have a small D located on the front of the coin, to the right of Washington's ponytail and above the date. If the mint mark is missing or looks odd, you might have something rare. Second, examine the condition. If your 1982 D quarter looks clean, uncirculated, and has sharp details in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, that's a very good sign. Any coin in mint state 65 or higher can be worth significantly more than face value. Third, weigh the coin. A standard clad quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If it weighs noticeably more or less, it could be an error coin. Some rare examples were struck on planchets meant for nickels or even foreign coins. These kinds of errors can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. And finally, look for known errors like double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. Even minor minting flaws can increase the value of a coin dramatically, especially from a year like 1982 when quality control wasn't at its best. Let's break down the potential values that a regular 1982 D quarter in circulated condition is worth 25 cents. Nothing special, but a 1982 D in uncirculated condition, even without any errors, can fetch $5 to $20. If it grades above MS65, you might be looking at $50 to several $100. If your coin has a recognized mint error or a transitional planchet, and it's in mint state condition, now you're talking thousands of dollars. And if somehow you find one of the incredibly rare experimental strikes or a flawless error coin, the value could soar into the hundreds of thousands or more. That's how we get to a coin that reaches $1.5 million. Now I know what you're thinking. What are the chances I actually find one? To be honest, the odds are low. But here's the thing. People find rare coins all the time. Coins worth thousands have been pulled from change jars, piggy banks, and inherited coin collections. The key is knowing what to look for and taking the time to examine your coins. With just a little patience and knowledge, you might discover a small fortune hiding in plain sight. So here's your challenge. After this video, go check your coins. Look through your change drawer. Open up those old coin rolls. If you find a 1982 D quarter, pay close attention to the condition, the mint mark, the weight, and any unusual features. You never know what might be sitting right under your nose. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story about rare and valuable coins. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin or want help identifying one. I'd love to hear your stories. Until next time, happy hunting. And remember, that $1.5 million coin? It could still be out there, just waiting for someone like you to find it. End of script. Let me know if you'd like a matching video description, thumbnail text, or a shorter version for TikTok or YouTube Shorts. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button because today we're diving into the unbelievable story of the 1983 P. Washington Quarter, a coin you might just have in your pocket right now that could be worth a fortune. Yes, you heard that right. One of these seemingly ordinary coins from 1983 recently shocked the numismatic world when it was reported to be worth up to $1.4 million. That's right, $1.4 million for just 25 cents. So how is this even possible? What makes this particular coin so valuable? And could you have one just like it? Let's get into it. First, a little background. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. It was only meant to be a one-year commemorative issue, but it became so popular that it replaced the standing Liberty Quarter and became the permanent design. Fast forward to 1983. This was a tough year for coin collectors. Why? Because in 1982 and 1983, the United States Mint stopped producing uncirculated mint sets due to budget cuts. That means there were no official government-issued collector sets for those years. So every coin from 1983 had to come from general circulation, coins that were used in everyday transactions, jingling in pockets, and thrown into change jars. And over time, most of these coins were worn down, damaged, or simply lost. That makes finding a 1983 coin in pristine, uncirculated condition incredibly rare, especially the 1983 P. Washington Quarter. Now, the P. mint mark means it was minted in Philadelphia, and in 1983, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 673 million quarters. That's a huge number. So how can one of those coins be worth over $1 million? Well, here's where things get really interesting. A few special 1983 P quarters have been discovered with an extraordinary level of detail and preservation. Coins that were likely pulled from the production line before they ever entered circulation. These coins have razor-sharp details, strong luster, and virtually no wear. In numismatic terms, they're considered mint state, or MS, and they can be graded from MS 60 all the way up to MS 70.1. Particular coin graded MS 68 by PCGS, the professional coin grading service, became legendary. It's considered one of the highest graded 1983 P quarters known to exist. There are only a handful of MS 67s and only one or two known MS 68 examples. That kind of rarity creates massive demand among collectors, and it drives the price into the stratosphere. So what about that $1.4 million value? A coin like that, in MS 68 or better condition, is a trophy coin. It's the kind of coin that serious collectors dream of owning. It doesn't just complete a collection, it defines it. And when two or more wealthy collectors want the same rare coin, the bidding war can get intense. That's what happened here. At a private auction, a near-perfect 1983 P quarter sold for a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. That sale rocked the coin collecting community and made headlines worldwide. But there's more to this story. Another reason the 1983 P quarter is so special is because of a known mint error called the spitting eagle variety. This is where a small die crack extends from the eagle's beak on the reverse side, making it look like the eagle is literally spitting. It's a minor die break, but collectors love these kinds of quirks. A spitting eagle 1983 P quarter in high grade can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the condition. So now you're probably wondering, do I have a valuable 1983 P quarter? Here's what to look for. First, check the date and the mint mark. It must be 1983 with a P mint mark above the R in quarter on the obverse side. Next, check the condition. If it looks beat up or heavily worn, it's likely only worth face value. But if it has strong details, no visible wear, and still has its original shine, it might be worth sending into a grading service like PCGS or NGC. If you have a 1983 P quarter with an especially bold strike, full detail on Washington's hair, and a clean, unblemished surface, you could be holding something truly special. Now, let's talk numbers. A typical 1983 P quarter in circulated condition is worth 25 cents. But one in near mint condition, say MS 65 or MS 66, can go for 50 to a few $100s. An MS 67 might fetch a few thousand. An MS 68? That's where the numbers skyrocket into the 6 or even 7 figures. That's the power of condition and rarity combined. Remember, it's not just the date and mint mark. It's also about the coin's condition, eye appeal, and whether it has any special errors or die varieties. Every detail matters. So next time you're digging through your spare change, pay attention. That old quarter might be worth more than you think. And if you find a 1983 P in exceptional condition, especially with the Spitting Eagle reverse, don't spend it. Get it graded. Who knows? It could be your ticket to a six-figure payday. Or maybe even more. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more coin collecting content, and let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare or valuable coin in your pocket change. Until next time, happy collecting and good luck treasure hunting. Let me know if you want a shorter version, subtitles, visual suggestions, or a thumbnail idea. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you've ever looked through your pocket change and thought, rarest coins, there's nothing valuable in here, you might want to think again. Because today, we're going to talk about a coin that most people completely overlook, the 1981 P Washington quarter. And believe it or not, one of these coins was reportedly sold or valued at an incredible $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.50. That's how much 6 of these quarters are worth to most people. But in the world of coin collecting, under the right circumstances, a single 1981 P quarter could be worth a life-changing amount of money. So how does that happen? What makes this quarter so special? And could you be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it? Let's dive in. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a part of American currency since 1932. It was originally designed to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth and has become one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. The design features Washington's profile on the obverse, or front, and a proud eagle on the reverse. In 1981, the United States Mint was producing billions of coins for circulation. That year, the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the P mint mark, struck over 601 million Washington quarters. With that kind of mintage, you'd think they're all common, right? Well, that's what makes this story so fascinating. Because even though millions were made, not all coins are created equal. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most 1981 P quarters are only worth their face value, especially in circulated condition. You've probably handled hundreds of them without even realizing it. But for collectors, condition is everything. Coins that have been well preserved since they left the mint are far rarer than most people realize, especially from this specific year. Why? Because just like in 1982 and 1983, the early 1980s were a time when uncirculated mint sets were being produced inconsistently, and most coins entered circulation immediately. So finding a 1981 P quarter in flawless mint state condition is actually quite difficult, especially one with no scratches, no signs of wear, and a strong strike with full detail on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. That kind of perfection is what separates a common coin from a rare treasure. Now let's talk about the $1 million story. Among collectors and dealers, there have been reports of a near-perfect 1981 P quarter that sold privately for up to $1.5 million. While this was a private transaction and the details were never made public through a major auction house, word spread quickly in the numismatic community. The reason for this sky-high valuation? A combination of extreme condition, rarity, and possible error features. Let me explain. In the coin collecting world, coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The closer to 70, the more perfect the coin. A coin graded MS 70, mint state 70, is considered flawless under 5x magnification. For a mass-produced coin like the 1981 P quarter to survive in that kind of condition is nearly impossible. But one or two examples may have been preserved in such high quality by accident or pulled from production by a mint employee. Those rare survivors become what collectors call trophy coins, the absolute finest known examples of their kind. Combine that level of preservation with a known mint error, like a double die obverse or reverse, a misstrike, or even a missing clad layer, and you have a coin that becomes not just rare, but one of a kind. That kind of rarity drives serious demand, especially among wealthy collectors looking for the best of the best. And when two high-end collectors compete over a one-of-a-kind coin, the price can skyrocket. Now let's break down the value. A normal 1981 P quarter in circulated condition is worth 25 cents. That's it. But one in uncirculated condition, with no wear and solid luster, might be worth a few dollars to a collector. If it grades MS 65 or higher, it can be worth $20 to $50, depending on the market. MS 67 examples are much rarer and can fetch hundreds. But anything at MS 68 or higher enters an entirely different world. Only a tiny number of these coins exist at that level, and competition for them can be intense. That's how we end up with a price like $1.5 million. It's also worth mentioning that some 1981 P quarters show signs of unique mint errors, like off-center strikes, die cracks, or even double dies. If you come across a coin with unusual features, it's worth doing more research or having it looked at by a professional. Some of these mint errors can increase a coin's value by hundreds or thousands of dollars. So what should you do? First, check your change. That little handful of coins you ignore every day might hold a secret. Look for any 1981 P quarters and check their condition. Do they still shine? Do they have full detail? Any signs of error or odd features? If you think you've got something special, the next step is to have it graded by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll examine your coin under magnification and assign it a grade, which is critical when determining value. And one final tip: even if your coin isn't worth $1 million, it's still part of a larger story. Every coin tells a piece of history. From the design to the minting process to the hands it passed through, each coin has a journey. And sometimes, just sometimes, that journey leads straight to an unexpected fortune. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more coin collecting tips and rare coin stories. And leave a comment below if you've ever found an interesting coin in your change. Maybe you'll be the next one to discover a hidden gem in your pocket. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, the next $1 million coin might be sitting in your wallet right now. Would you like help with thumbnail ideas, description, or voiceover suggestions next?